Hello, this is Our Rats. I'm here to present Lesson 010, the 10th lesson in our series, and I'm pretty excited about this. I'm bringing back a game that I already showed in Lesson 007, the principles of two weaknesses, and here I'll just accelerate it up to the final position when I offer to draw. And one neat thing about chess is you can look at something and years later discover something you didn't even see the first time. And I'm not perfect. I certainly don't present myself to be. And after looking at this a little more, I realized why black took my draw. And this comes down to a thinking deficiency that I made. I'm suddenly actually better here. And I'll show you the continuation in just a moment. And just to explain the thinking deficiency that I had here, I've been on this mindset that I can set this blockade up and achieve a draw. And that's what I did. In effect, he can't break through. I've stopped the e-pawn from advancing, but black has just kind of fumbled around a little bit, and suddenly there's a tactic available at my disposal. But black has a resource and we'll see it. So my thinking deficiency is I just played the move and said draw, and I wasn't thinking about trying to play for a win, but white can actually now try and play this for a win, and I'll show you. What black has to play here is King F6, and that'll become apparent in a moment. And then white just brings the knight back to F3, and there's a fork. And what does black do? If he just retreats the rook, his bishop falls, and he has no useful move. So what black has to do here is play rook d4 and give back the exchange. Now if white makes a mistake and takes the bishop, black gets rook d1 in. Here I'll show you. Knight takes and then rook d1, and black can cry white can cry because he's going to lose. So let's just go back. But what white does instead is take the rook, and unfortunately white can't win this. The bishop of opposite colors just prevent it. And so in a way, I guess I'm kind of lucky I didn't see it the first time, because now I would have said, gee, I've got winning chances. I'm going to play this out. The guy wouldn't take a draw. Now I'm going to make him sit here another 2 or 3 hours. Well, if you recall from Lesson 007, as I was going through the principles of two weaknesses, I had 2 very long games that day and was exhausted and still had an even score, and had to come back the next day and needed to win 2 games just to win a prize. So really it'd be fruitless to try to play this out for 2 or 3 hours. I just make myself even more exhausted, and you can play with it on your own. White really can't make any progress here. Black has all the key squares covered. He'll just move his g-pawn up, and white can't really do anything. But white's got some chances. He could play it, but the net result is it's going to be a draw. Anyway, I wanted to show something else here out of my library that I loaded up, and we'll bring in the new topic. Okay. Now, the new topic here for this, before I start talking about this, let's just look at where we've gone on these first 10 lessons. The first one outlined a program, and I've yet to see anybody, maybe I'm wrong, but I've yet to see anybody come out and explain exactly how they became a chess master. This is what I've done. I've said, I looked back at my career and said, these are the things I did that made it happen. And I've outlined it all in the PowerPoint presentation that I videotaped for Lesson 1. Said, study your own games, analyze everything. Don't study certain things, study certain other things. Play correspondence chess, get more analysis in. And one of the keys that I'll bring up again a little bit later is the little trick about reduce your mistakes, and you'll stop losing as many games, and your rating will go up. And when your rating goes up, you tend to play stronger players. And when you're playing stronger players, you're going to learn more from how they play against you. And this is a very critical part of what I'm going to be doing here in a few minutes when I get going on this game. And Lesson 2, basically what I wanted to demonstrate with Lesson 2 was you don't need to know openings to play a good game of chess. You just need to know the basic ideas. And even if you don't know the basic ideas for everything, the second game illustrated that all I would do is get my pieces on better squares before I activated my rooks, and that just led to a winning game when my opponent made a mistake. So there I defeated 2 very strong 2300 strength players, and with little opening preparation. And then Lesson 3 was kind of critical to show you because I needed to talk about correspondence chess, and I showed a couple of games that, once again, I went off the beaten track and played some very off the wall lines that I had some analysis on that they weren't likely to have, and then I had the will and desire to dig into them and justify that they were playable. So I was highly motivated in those and spent an awful lot of time, and the results were that White never got anywhere against my bizarre opening, and I eventually won both games. And then the culmination was the third game, where I took Black against another 2300 player strength and held him to a draw. So, and this was all based on me having the courage to play that line in the first place. So that's what Lesson 3 did. Then Lesson 4, I showed a game that I played 36 years ago that I lost, and then I showed the work that I put in 36 years ago, and I recreated it for you and showed you just what you can uncover if you just keep digging and digging and digging and exhaust your way through all the lines. So that was some work I did before, and that just gives you an indication of how to analyze your games. Just keep looking. And then Lesson 5 discussed some certain opening strategies where White can dictate which direction the opening's going, because Black gets to pick the opening, and I'm saying that Black's going to be very, very prepared for if you go into main line. He'll probably know it better than you do, but you can play a little trick on Black and diverge very quickly in a lot of openings, and I gave a lot of suggestions. Now, you don't have to play those openings. You can go ahead and play what you're comfortable with playing. It's just my obligation as your tutor here to show you some different lines of thought, and go ahead and try these things if you like, and it all comes back to what do you want to play. And if you have time to study more openings in depth, well, you have time, because that's always the critical issue here. How much time do you have for chess? Well, I know how much time I have because you're seeing the result of my work. Any video that I make, I saw. How many of you have seen all my videos? Well, there's something in each one of them. But again, how much time do you have? So then the work I do on the outside to promote it and so forth, it does get time consuming, but I'm doing something that I love and I really enjoy this. So Lesson 5, like I say, it basically gave you some ideas to try as White, and I said as Black, keep playing what you're playing, because I'm not going to sit here and try and teach you a whole new system. Eventually, I'll get into that in a little bit. I'm going to be showing you the openings I play in my live games, which I've exposed you to, so that anyone that wants to try to adopt a new defense as Black and likes what the kind of games that my Nimzovich defense and Chigorin defense to queen pawn openings bring, you'll be able to learn those from me. So Lesson 006 took on one of the key concepts of any time you're playing, and that's selection of candidate moves. And it goes back to my promotion video. I reached a position where Black had 3 different endings to go into, and if you haven't seen my promotion video, you need to find it. It's at the bottom of my YouTube channel. And anyway, basically the promotion video, there were 3 different variations Black could go into with strategic material imbalances, and I showed the variations, and I made an evaluation at the end of each one. Then the net result was which one offered Black the most, which one offered Black the least, and then you would make a selection based on your evaluation of the position, and go from there and fight out the position from that point. And there was no need to take it any further. You just knew that this was the best line to play. So when you're using candidate moves, you really need to do this. You need to be looking for candidate moves, because I see so many games that I observe or that I annotate for, make videos for Team 45 League. The players just moving quickly. They're ending up with more time on their clock. They're just not considering things. And anytime you take your time to consider some candidate moves, the chances are you're going to consider the best move. And whether you play the best move or not, well, that remains to be seen. You save that for the post-mortem analysis. But as long as you're looking for candidate moves every move, you're fine. You're going to have a better chance to play the best move. And then Lesson 007 went into the concept that to win a game you need 2 weaknesses, and I showed 2 games where one side might have 2 weaknesses or only have one, and I was defending on both of them. I was trying my best to hang on, and I managed to succeed as I covered my weaknesses. and this is something you can carry with you every move of every game you're playing. If you start getting some kind of plan going, you're saying, how can I create a weakness in my opponent's camp? If I can get one, then I can then work on finding another one, creating another one. So once again, something to, when you're making your candidate move choices, if a move you analyze gives your opponent a weakness, it's probably worth it, because that's one weakness down and one to go. That doesn't mean it's always going to be the best move just because you give them one weakness, because maybe you can't give them a second weakness. And just because you give them one isn't going to be enough. So every position is different. You kind of have to learn this from experience. You'll see it all as you get better. And then Lesson 008 talked about impulsive moves. And I showed a game that I had an easy winning position, and I just went to pieces. And it took about 5 or 6 horrible moves on my part just to give the guy a chance. And that's exactly what I gave him. And I showed a lot of the reasons why some of these moves would be impulsive, and once again, you kind of have to ask yourself that when you're playing. If you're a blitz player converting to more standard play, ask yourself, that's the move I'd play in blitz because I have to play quick, but is it the best move? Do I have a better move? So once again, when you're going through your candidate moves, when you're taking 2-3 minutes a move on your every move, you're spending that much time, you stop and ask yourself on each candidate move, is that an impulsive move? Well, sometimes an impulsive move is good. Your impulse shows you, and your intuition shows you the best move. So just because a move's impulsive doesn't mean it's a bad move, but you try to find a better one if you can. Okay, so that was Lesson 008. And then Lesson 009 was an experiment to play live chess and try to explain my thoughts, because what this does, I'm trying to do all these things for you that you can do. I'm trying to look at candidate moves, and I'm trying to look for ways to create weaknesses and to explain them as I'm going, and I'm trying to say, well, this move's impulsive and this move's not. I don't know how great of a job I did on that. I did the best I could in the limited time I have to play. A 15-minute game is still pretty quick, but who wants to watch a 3 or 4 hour video? I know you don't. I mean, I'd love to, but probably most of you wouldn't. But we can still continue with this series, and I will. There'll be more about this later. So that brings us to Lesson 010, and that's where we're at right here with this position. And the theme here, I said I'd come back to something earlier. It was all noted in Lesson 001 as a give me. If you reduce your errors, your rating goes up. And as your rating goes up, you end up playing stronger players as a result, which is good because you're learning from them. Now, I'm teaching this to all rating classes. For some of you, beating a 1500 player would be a remarkable accomplishment. But you'll get there. And then conversely, 1700, 1800, eventually all these people, they look so much stronger than you, but you can get up to that level and pass them. But there's always going to be some kind of an intimidation factor that results when you're playing a higher rated player. And for some players, it's actually a weakness. They see that they're paired against somebody that's probably going to beat them, and some of them are already psychologically lost at the outset. Well, there's a game of chess to be played. They have to prove that they can beat you. And one of my own personal weaknesses is I tend to take lower rated players very casually, and I often hurry moves and rush moves because I can get away with some of that stuff, and it's rather a dangerous strategy. But I discovered my weaknesses after I stopped playing 16 years ago, and haven't had a chance to really come back in and practice everything that I'm teaching you, other than some online games, standard games. I haven't really focused into coming back to tournament play and trying to move onward and upward with my knowledge. Like I say, when I was playing all these games, I didn't have everything down. I still didn't understand all my weaknesses. I just was playing under my own personal talent. Okay, so it comes down to what's a big game for you. And I guess one interesting thing, or one nice thing about chess is, at least for the lower-rated players, chess is pretty much the only sport where, I'm not being mean here, I'm just going to quote somebody else, where they say mediocrity is rewarded. And by that I mean, if you have a low rating, there's always some big class tournament somewhere in the country. There's one going on, several going on right now. This is Memorial Day weekend. The last games are being finished. But there are games where low-rated players can win huge amounts of money. $500, $1,000, $2,000. I don't know what all the prizes are. Look at the World Open coming up in July. That's big money. And to not have an awful lot of skill at chess and to be able to win money like that, that's just incredible. And meanwhile, you have the solid 2250 player who just can't compete for big prizes because he's thrown in with the grandmasters and international masters that he's trying to beat. So, you know, if you take the sport golf, can a player with a really bad handicap go win big money? No, they're not going to let him in the U.S. Open or some of these other big tournaments where the big money is. You don't see a guy that plays really good at the YMCA at basketball. You don't see him jumping right by the college hoops and the D League and getting right into the NBA and making a difference. You just don't see it. I mean, there might be an exception here or there, but if you're not good, you're not going to make money. But at chess, you can, and why not? If you can win money all the way up to whatever rating you want to reach, that's great. Just for an example, I remember back in 1973, I didn't know him, and I never really did know him, but I was able to see him at all the events. Future Grandmaster Nick DeFermian. I remember summer of 1973, he won a Class C event. I don't know how much his prize was, 200, 300, whatever it was. But the only reason I noticed him was somebody I was acquainted with was his opponent in the last round, and I was hoping my friend would win, but DeFermian beat him and won the prize. But DeFermian just shot right up, and what was really neat for him as he was doing it, he was winning money at every class. He got up to Class B, started winning Class B prizes, Class A prizes, you know, for $1,800 to $1,999, then Expert $2,000 to $2,199. Didn't matter what his rating was, he was winning money. Then he got up to Master Class, and he continued to win money. And he eventually got his International Master title and then his Grandmaster title. And now he's a professional, and if he plays, I don't know if he plays. I know he has an account at ICC that he mostly plays computers on, but he's a professional and can make a living at chess. So I'm not saying that's going to happen to everyone of you, but whatever your goal is, if you just want to make chess master, which this program is designed for, if you can make money while you're doing it, all the better. But you see, now it comes back to this thing that I talked about, the intimidation factor. If you find yourself playing for a game with a huge prize on the line, that's an awful lot of pressure. Whether it's $50 and you really need $50, or if it's $500 or $5,000, who knows? That's an incredible amount of pressure to have on you. How are you going to handle something like that? And the way you're going to handle it, you just kind of have to tune it out. And some of it just takes practice. You have to have confidence. At least that you're going to give it your best shot. And it's something that you just have to learn from experience. You know, I've won with big money on the line. I've lost with big money on the line. I've drawn with bigger money available than I ended up getting. It doesn't really matter. I've done it all. And I'm going to show a game here in a few minutes where I did, in effect, do it all. Did my best and hung on in this game. And we'll explain all that as we go. But it basically comes down to you and your confidence level, and it's an awful lot of pressure. But it's just kind of like riding a bike. You can't the first time. You can't balance yourself, and you're having trouble. But eventually, you get the hang of it, and then you just keep going on the bike. It's the same thing when you're playing a better player. If you're 1600 and never beat anybody over 1800, and suddenly have a winning position. The pressure's on. You just keep doing what you always did, and you just have to kind of train your mindset so that you tune the big money out. Now, this particular event here, the whole event's a really interesting story. I only have time to share this one game. This was played back in September 1995, and my rating had dropped under 2200, and I entered in a under 2200 section. And in the last round, I had 3.5 out of 4. And the basic story here is a win by itself would have been worth around 900, a draw just over 700, but the loss brought it down to about a $36 prize. So there's a huge difference between a win and a loss, and there's not so much difference between a win and a draw. And I do have the white pieces, which is helpful. My opponent has 2186 rating, which I've labeled him as, but he's also in a position where he's a half point behind me, and he needs to beat me if he wants to win any kind of reasonable prize. So if I want to just play a couple moves and offer a draw, he's not going to take it because it's not worth it to him to take it. He's going to make me play, so therefore I have to play, and I have to justify that everything I've learned about chess in the last 30-some years is going to benefit me, and I'm not going to lose this game. I've got to, and because there's big money at stake here, and I've got to come through if I'm going to collect that prize. And at this particular point in my life I won't go into it, was an extremely tough point this month, and I had all kinds of emotions running through my head. But anyway, let's run through the game. And basically, I was talking to some friends. I say, well, I'm not going to offer a draw, and I'm not really going to play for a draw, but I'm going to play not to lose. I'm going to be careful, but I won't take any unnecessary risks. I'll watch for moves that might give my opponent chances. So I was playing the English at the time in my correspondence play, and had been playing it in this over-the-board event, so there was no reason not to play e4 and see what he offered. And immediately I get some complications because I've got the Dutch defense against it, and I have some lines against the Dutch. I didn't play some of my obscure lines, I just played it careful, and we'll see what happens. Okay, and now he played kind of an offbeat line, not really mainline Dutch. He's not playing the Leningrad Dutch with G6 and give me a chance to transpose. So I just go about my way here and continue with what I'm doing and develop. And here I just play D4. Now we're basically in a mainline Dutch, and white has nothing to fear here. The white pieces are all getting out. The knight will go to C3, and the bishop on C1 will get developed, and then everything else will follow suit. And bishop E7 and knight C3, and I think it was at this point that I found a move that it's a technique that's used in Queen's Indian positions. You'll see it here in a moment. What do you think white can do here that puts some kind of an imbalance into this position? You can stop the video if you want to think about a candidate move. Okay, you've resumed the video. I'm just going to show you, and the move is D5. Now black's on that square 3 times, white's on it 3 times, so white's not making a temporary sacrifice like he will in the Queen's Indian positions, but you'll see what the point of all this is. I'm not doing this just to take back on D5. I'm not going to do that right away. What I do is I take advantage of a pin by creating a pin, and I play knight D4. And this is a very interesting type move. Now look at what it does. I'm attacking the pawn on F5, and I've pinned the pawn on D5. So I'll be taking the pawn on D5 later. So in this position, black can't try to hang on to the pawn with C6 that conveniently, because I'll just grab the pawn on F5. In some of the Queen's Indian positions, I don't think white has that resource, but he has active plans against black trying to hang on to the pawn. Mainly, he'll give black an isolated pawn on D5 and eventually win it, and then black will have another isolated pawn on D7. So this is basically the strategy, and we go on, just play a few moves. So G6 is fine. He's holding on to F5. Now I've got to get my queen rook and queen bishop in the game, so we work on that here in a moment. But I went ahead and took the pawn at this point. It's a perfectly good time to do it. Otherwise, maybe he'll play C6, and I'm not trying to take any risks right now, although I could. And bishop H6. Now I've got the bishop developed with tempo, so that's good. And rook F7, and I think I'm pretty sure it's at this point I found a very interesting move, and white to play and do the best he can. Pause the video. Okay, if you come back, what did you come up with? I think this is a really interesting move. I was rather happy with it, and that's knight E6. Did you see it? It's not a move you'd look for directly, because who's going to put a knight on pre? But look at the combinations that exist. Okay, so the first thing when you're analyzing a move that you wouldn't play normally, just play it out. Okay, here we go. Pawn takes, pawn takes. Now we're on the rook. So if black plays queen takes on D1, before we take on D1 retake, we stop and take on F7 with check, and then pick up the queen, and white has won material, and we'll go on and win the game. And so that's the basic idea. You can often look at some off the wall moves like knight e6 and then analyze them out, because it becomes very simple after that. You just kind of have to know the themes here, and the theme here is basically the Zwischenzug, to allow queen to be exchanged, but then take something else with check, and then come back and collect the queen later. So black has to stop and think here. He can't really take the knight. What's he going to do? Well, he's going to play queen c8. That's pretty much the only move. And now he's threatening to take the knight on e6, so I have to deal with it. Okay, so I put the knight on g5, and white's got a very fine game. Everything's developed except for my queen rook, and my queen, so to speak, but the queen has open lines to go to, and black is still kind of fishing around back there. His rook on a8 is way out of play, and it's kind of hindered by the fact his queen is on c8. So really, for 13 moves, white's done quite a lot here and gained quite a lot. I have serious winning chances, but black hunkered down and started playing some good moves, and so he got rid of that potent knight, and now I've got the bishop pair, so it looks maybe even more promising. But that knight would have been useful for me, but unfortunately he got rid of it. So he's still got to keep playing here and try to find some decent moves. Now, one interesting thing about this type of position, one thing that kind of concerned me as I was playing, I had to be careful about and always put in the back of my mind. If you look at my pawn on d5, it's kind of a target, because especially if a set of knights are traded, because he can attack that pawn with 2 minor pieces and I can only defend it with 1, and that's kind of sometimes could be not good. Eventually maybe I could lose that pawn, and having to defend it, that's one drawback that's keeping me from a really clear advantage here, because I'm kind of stuck defending it. I'd like to be able to play d6 at some point, but I can't. He'd just take it with the knight, and the idea being a temporary sacrifice, and I'll collect it later and then leave him with an isolated d-pawn. But anyway, to make a long story short, he's looking to get his pieces out of the box. So here he plans knight, I guess knight a6, and either to b4 or c5, and strike while the iron's hot. Since he's a little developed, I'll just try to open up the game, open up some lines, because my pieces will be the ones to seize those open lines. And like I say, white has a very, very promising game here. I just not exactly sure how to continue. He just played this very well. As we go on, you'll see, and the pressure's on. You know, I can't lose. As long as I don't lose, I'm okay. If I draw, I'm not okay. I'm sorry. If I lose, I'm not okay. A draw is still okay. There's still a substantial prize. So once again, now I've put the queen in, get the queen developed, and I really got a wonderful position. But he keeps finding good moves, and I can't find a way to get any further in. Maybe what I could have done is just move the rook from a1 to e1, get it developed, and try and coordinate something. But anyway, he found queen g4, and you'll see what he's trying to do here in a second. Okay, I've got to be careful about any potential pin against this knight, but like I say, you'll see what he's got in mind here. Knight c5. Now I can take that knight on c5 if I want, and at least my queen is guarded. But I just went ahead and developed another piece, got this other rook into play, and white's still for choice here. He's more aggressively posted, well centralized, but black's hanging on. And the only potential danger for white is that pawn on d5. If it gets in a position where black's attacking it and tying white's pieces down, black could maybe get some initiative going of his own. Okay, so queen h5, putting the question to my bishop. So I brought it all the way back, and the reason for putting it on c1 is I don't want it blocking any of the open files. Although maybe I could have put it on an f4. But c1's fine for it, and I preserve an option of maybe playing b3 followed by bishop b2 and administering a checkmate on h8. But he goes ahead and trades off the knight, and now he brings his another knight into play, and looks logical. White seems to have a clear advantage, but I just can't find a way to break through. And now he comes into the heart of my position, and I go and pin the knight. I mean, that looks fine, but he just keeps finding resources. He's defending, but he's hanging on. And h4, basically the idea of that, it does create a little more left for the king in potential endgames. I don't want to have to interpose with a bishop if they get back rank check and run into something where he has a tactic of bishop a6. And also h4 restrains him from playing g5. If I want to keep my rook on f4, it sure looks like a good square to me. I'll keep it there if I can. Then he plays h5, and again, it looks like white's got something here. He's just weak in g6, and I wasn't really planning to push by with h5, but I couldn't find a way to break him. He's just solid. So I offered a queen trade. There's nothing wrong with this, because I decided I'm certainly not losing this, and I've still got some inherent advantages in this position, and that being the power of having two bishops. So if I trade queens, I kind of reduce the chances of him pulling an upset on me if I get carried away, because he won't have a queen to do any damage with. So I'm willing to make that exchange. And again, for him, he's still got to try to find a way to play this for a win. And he's been sweating this whole game. I've got this strong position, and even though he's hanging on, he's working. So anyway, he goes and seizes the open file. He's got a threat. I got to deal with that. So now I bring the bishop back to d2 to cover that. Now he could stick a rook on e2 if he wanted, but I'll just chase it out. So instead he decides he's going to reactivate his bishop on a new diagonal, and I'll just go and offer a trade. If we trade, we keep trading down, I should be okay here. I'm beginning to think that I'm probably not going to win this, and a draw is okay. I just have to make sure I don't lose. And the fact that I have the two bishops versus bishop and knight does give me some winning chances, so I'm willing to go down to an ending and see what happens. And this is kind of an interesting choice to retake. I think the idea was, let me see, if I take with the bishop, I think he just goes back and pesters me on d5 or something. But I think the idea of taking with a pawn was to support the d5 pawn. I was just a little bit worried. I was just trying to make sure that I didn't go and get into some position where I go and drop that d5 pawn, because if I do that, then I'm defending the position. And sure enough, he goes back, and then I come in with e4, and I've secured that weakness. Now e4 is theoretically weak, but he's got weaknesses too. He's got c7 and g6. So in effect, I could maybe use the principle of two weaknesses and try and work on that. But at the moment, it's not exactly clear how I do it. I can't conveniently attack g6, and c7. I can't conveniently attack that either, because his rook is holding it. So even though black's got a couple weaknesses here, it's not certain how white's going to exploit it. But white's certainly no worse here, and this is acceptable, so because I'm not losing, so he finds a new diagonal to go on, and I find a new diagonal as well. Now I'm threatening to play bishop e6, which I expect him to defend against, and he does, and he finds a clever way to do it. But now I can pretty much go into a dead drawn ending, and you'll see that's what happens. It just seemed to make sense to go for a draw now. His knight is pretty active. It's kind of hard to see exactly how I'm going to get my bishop into play. If I go back to f1, he'll just retreat his bishop and keep it on. So at this point, I'm happy to just go for a draw if that's all I can get. And it ends up reaching. This is basically a draw. I'll show you the remaining moves. There was one point where my score sheet is garbled, and I try to recreate the game, and I don't know exactly what's wrong, but there's a loose pawn that doesn't get taken for an extra move, but you'll see it as we go there. I don't want to take on g4 at this moment because e4 is hanging, but we eliminate the weakness on e4 first. And I've got great king position, but I can't win this. And like I say, something's wrong with the score sheet. You'll see why in a moment. Here I'm playing king f4, and the pawn is free on d5. Why does he take it? I don't know. But now he takes it. And even though I'm going to get a passed pawn here, he can give up his bishop for the pawn, and his king is close enough to the queen side to use his pawn majority to secure a draw, and you'll see why. There's really no winning chance here for white. No, he's down a piece, but he's got the draw, and here I offered a draw, and he took it because really, what can he do? He can't play this for a win. There's really nothing he can do. A3, I just take his pawn off, and his other pawn will never promote. And if he moves his king and plays B3 and try with the idea of playing A3, he still can never get his extra pawn in, so the game's a draw. So I won my $700+, and I was quite happy with the result. And he only won a small amount, but what could he do? So when you finally beat those stronger players, that can give you some confidence. When you can win a decent prize, that'll give you confidence. But you have to just believe in yourself and do what you always did. Now, it's not so easy when there's big money on the line. And I was feeling the pressure the whole tournament. I knew I had a great shot at it. I did get some luck in the tournament. There were several others fully capable players of winning it, players capable of winning it, but fortunately, they got paired with each other and started drawing themselves out of contention, and I got a few lucky breaks here and there. But needless to say, I couldn't complain about the result. You know, winning $700 is nice, and I've not been back down to under 2,200 since. No, I haven't really. I played only about another year after that, and then haven't been able to play again due to life circumstances. I'm not too concerned about trying to become an expert rating again and trying to win more money. It's not really my intent. I don't look at it that way. I look to try to play to win. But I wanted to share this kind of game with you just to show you don't always have to try for the win, and sometimes you can have a really good game and you can't win. But really, I played a solid game. I played not to lose, and when he just defended it as well as he could, and I couldn't find a winning plan, I just went for the draw. Okay, so where do we go from here? Well, I've got quite a bit more to tell you. I don't know exactly how everybody finds these lessons. They're posted in a number of ways. You can get them out of my blog. You can get them if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Anyway, to make a long story short, I have created a new website. And if you're watching this video, you will see the website in the description. It's been up for a while. A number of you have already found it. I've just finally gone into my blog the other day at becomingachessmaster.com, but blogspot.com, and I've said I have a new website. Go there now. And I created this on my own. There's still a lot more to come to it. I need everyone to take a look. Stop and take a look and check everything out that's on there. It's going to get bigger, and I'll explain more of that in a moment. But what's on there right now is everything that I'm currently got going that I want to do. All the lessons are linked. If you're watching lesson 10 at this point, then you're all caught up. But there's other people that haven't caught up to your level, and they won't of lessons, and they won't see this video for a while yet, but they'll see it eventually. And as I've been doing this program, I've also made some changes here and there, and I'm going to make another change here. And I don't want you to be concerned when I tell you this is the last lesson, because it isn't. Okay, it is and it isn't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the lessons at 10, and there's a reason for it. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be making videos. I can make one of these every week, no problem. Okay. Eventually, this is going to hit lesson 20, lesson 30, lesson 40. Somebody new comes along this program and says, oh my God, I got to look at 40 lessons. Forget it. They won't even look at beyond lesson 1. So the reason I want to stop it at lesson 10 is for everybody else that's going to be new to this program, that there's a set limit of lessons that you need, because basically everything I've shown you is what you need to know. There's still more, a little bit more, but to try to start making more lessons to demonstrate the basic themes, right now it's not feasible. You can, if you look at these 10 lessons and go through them and understand everything that I've shared, then you can apply it back to your game. Because remember, I'm not teaching you to be a chess master. I'm teaching you how to teach yourself to be a chess master. Because everything else you're doing is your work away from these lessons. You're looking at the games you're playing, and you're playing your games and analyzing them yourself. So by having 10 lessons, now they'll run, the total running time of those 10 lessons will run about 7.5 hours approximately. Now that's a doable doable thing for anybody. They'll look at that 7.5 hours investment. That's great. Now, then they'll have everything. So if you go to this new website, on my page there's a tab up at the top. It says free lessons, and you just go there and you can find all the links. Now I'll add a little bit more to that, but not for a few more days yet. So if you're one of those that's up on ready for lesson 10 and go look at that, you'll need to look at it again shortly, because I'm going to put a few more things there, and I'll be explaining to that when I go on to the next phase. As I said, I'm still going to make videos every week, and maybe even more so. What I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be doing more of the live chess, and I've already got some games on there on the videos. Now the new website says, there's a tab says Play Me on Fix, free internet chess server, and I've already started playing games there. I'll go back and play some more. There's another one for Chess 960. I'm going to start playing Fischer random chess and putting those games up, and each one of these I'll be discussing all my strategies and how to implement them, just like you saw in lesson 9. There's going to be more of these, and you'll still get all the insight and all the comments and everything about how I think that you can in turn learn from. So the lessons don't stop. You're still going to learn everything that I know. Like I said, everything I know, I'm going to share. I don't know how long it's going to take, but everything I know, I'll just keep talking about in future videos. So when you complete the 10 lessons, you just go on and start looking at those and enjoying them. So I'm limited on how many tabs I can get to. I can make 10 of them right now. I have home and so forth. I encourage everyone to look at the donations page. It's not that I'm trying to ask for money. I'm just pointing out there's one key point in there that I want to make. Not everyone can donate, and I understand that. I've put some things there that if you can't donate, that do these will help the business, like watch my videos. So check what's in there. Also, what I'm really trying to do is, in order to get more tabs, I'm limited to 10 different pages, or tabs, whatever you want to call them. I'm limited to 10. I can't add any more unless I host the site. Now, as the site stands now, you get advertisements on there. Maybe that's annoying to you. Well, if I host the site, the ads disappear. I don't even put my own ads on there. I can put ads on there if I want, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to keep it totally advertisement free for you guys. You don't want to see any ads. The only ads that'll be on there will be links that I put up there with for you maybe to join a certain chess site. So there's really no ads like go to ITT Tech or you'll be so much sexier if you drive a Camaro or something like that. There's not going to be anything like that on this site. But when I have more tabs, I can add some more some ideas, and I'll get to some of those in a moment. What's also up there, I have a testimonials page, and this is another way to help me. Anything that if you've gotten any benefit out of these lessons, go there and tell us about it. Share your experiences. Other people want to know. I want to know. I mean, some of you have given me some testimonials elsewhere, and I hope that you will go and repeat them in the testimonial section. And I've got another thing in there, Chess for Kids. I'm not exactly sure where that's going yet, but I wanted to have it. You know, some people that learn chess, they're absolute beginners. And it could be chess for an adult kid that just learned to play chess. So I've got a few demonstrations of some elementary checkmates in there, and I'll do more for that later. I don't know exactly where it's going yet, but I've got that tab. And then I've got a links page, and in there, some of the key things that the services that are available for you. Like I say, here's my Twitter account, because when I upload a video, I do my best to announce on Twitter to my subscribers that, or followers, I guess you call them, that I've posted a new video, and they can go find it. And then I've got my Facebook page. It's growing. I've got about 25 friends on it now. Maybe eventually I'll have 5,000. I don't know. I don't know what I'll end up with, but I got 25. So welcome to join my Facebook page. And I've got some other links on there, various chess sites you can play at, and so forth and onward. Just have a look. It's a lot of fun. So maybe you belong to some of them or none of them, or don't care about them. But like I say, check them out. You don't know until you look at something a little closer. But like I say, now, here I've just given it this particular game. I've shown a game out of my past, and there were some things about it. So I'll also start a new tab where I'll be, I don't know what I'll call it, maybe my memorable games. Not stealing from Bobby Fischer's my 60 memorable games. I just need a title for it. Might just keep it simple and call it my games. And I'll go out of my games out of my past and when I think that there's something that's worth seeing and worth instructing, I'll go and select these games just as I have done with all the other ones. So I won't be doing nothing but live chess. I will be doing games in the same manner as these lessons have been created. So you're still going to see the same kind of product coming from me. It's just that there's just going to be 10 videos labeled lessons. The lessons continue. There's just 10 of them. And again, it comes down to everybody's time. How much time do you have for chess? I can't answer that. Some people are going to have lots of time and watch everything. Some people are just going to look at the 10 lessons and be satisfied with that and go off and do their thing. But there's plenty of something in everything there, and you'll discover it as you check out all the various resources. So in order to do this, to get this thing hosted and so forth, I've put up a chip in my donations page asking for a certain amount of money to help defray the cost of this. And I've already received one donation on that, and I want to thank the person that did that very, very much for getting it started. And I really want to get this off the ground quick. The reason being, the quicker I can get that thing hosted, then the quicker I can start putting up more sections and so forth. And I still have a laptop. I'm trying to buy a laptop and can't afford it right at the moment. And that chip in's going to expire in a couple days, so I'm not giving up on that one yet. I teach school, and school is out in a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to have a luxury of 2.5 months off. I was trying to get one summer job. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. But I may have to get another one just to survive. I don't know yet. I'm just going day by day here. But if I have to take a second job, it'd probably be something where I'd have an awful lot of free time on my hands. And that's where having a laptop will really come in handy because I can sit on the job and work while I'm working. Do 2 jobs at once, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. I can't take my PC with me to a job. I have a desktop, and it's just not feasible. You can understand that. But a laptop is mobile, and I can take it and keep up on things and make videos and work on my website and so forth. Do all these things for your benefit. So, and as the future goes, I'm going to put more chip-ins in there for allow people that find value in what I'm doing, if they wish to donate, that they may help me out, because I'm doing this for everybody, and I can't expect it or ask everybody to offer me a donation, but there are some that will, and it's greatly appreciated, and it does allow this to continue. If I didn't make anything on it, I might have trouble continuing it, but I get a little bit. You can see there on my chip-ins, some money's coming in, and I'm very, very, very appreciative for it. I can't thank you enough for thinking highly enough of me and what I bring you. I'm very grateful that I'm providing something of value to you, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm a teacher, and that's my profession, and I know that you learn by doing. That's why that's how students learn. That's how I put you to work. I lecture, you go to work, and you do the rest. Okay, so where have we come? The new website is really going to be great. It's already great, but it's going to be better once I can get everything in there that I want. And I can't announce it all right now. It'll be done soon. Oh, one key thing I'll be able to add into the website is a blog. I had room for it now, but I left it out. The idea of a blog is that you can come in there and post things. You can say, hey, what about this? And I can answer questions. And I don't really have a convenient way to announce updates right now. I think I have one of the pages. All updates will be posted here. So basically, as it stands now, you're going to kind of have to look around where to find updates, because not everybody's going to subscribe to me on Twitter or follow me on Twitter and see when the updates come. I can understand that. That's fine. But like I say, something new could be there, and unless you navigate the site, you'll never find it. So just because you look at the site, I've asked everyone to go and check it out. Check it out often. See what's there. Check, because I'm going to put some neat stuff in there. You'll never know what it is until I put it. I may put some surprises in there, because I can always find something creative to throw at you. Like I say, I don't know exactly what I'll put in, but it might be to your benefit to keep looking, because I'll put things in there that could mean something nice in return for you. And that's all I'm going to say right now. You'll just have to keep checking out my site. But anyway, like I say, chess is something that can be mastered, and I didn't have a clear path. I just looked back on my career and said, how did I do it? And the result is shown in Lesson 001. That's how I did it. I didn't do it in a structured way, in a methodical way, but everything that I put there was how I did it. Now you know the secret. How do you do it? And I know not everybody wants to be a master. I have some people in the program that are just going to be happy going up a class or two. That's fine. You'll do it. You'll enjoy chess just as much, if not more, when you do it. And who knows? You probably quit the game once you get that good. But anyway, what do you want out of it? It all comes down to how much time do you have, and what about the other factors? Life goes on. Chess isn't the only thing in life, although a few people would disagree with that, but common sense says there's other things to be enjoyed out of life. But I guess I believe it'd be great if everybody could play at a really high level, because then just think of how great we could become at chess. If everybody played Grandmaster Strength, just think of the potential we could do and how far we could go, how many Bobby Fischers or Gary Kasparovs or so forth we could have in our midst. It's the greatest game. It's the most complicated game. It can be frustrating. It can be enjoyable, but it's a game we all love. So, like I say, I want to thank everybody for their time, for looking at this. I have so much more I want to say, and I'm going to say in the future videos. This isn't the end of the lessons. They're gonna keep coming. It's just that there won't necessarily be a lesson 011. Maybe there will be. Maybe I'll find something I realized I need to put in that. But whatever. The lessons will continue. But you'll understand. I hope you understand my reasons for why I'm doing it as I am. I have to think of the new people that are coming in. I don't want them to be scared away by seeing 40, 50 lessons a year from now. That they won't even bother. Okay? So everything's going to come, and it's going to come more so because I have the whole summer off. I've got time to pour into this, and if you have time to keep up with me, you're going to get better all the quicker. That's the way it's going to go. That's my promise. Okay? So, once again, thanks everyone for your time. I can't thank you enough. And we'll look forward to making another video for you very, very soon. Take care.